How's your Spanish?
I took 3 years in high school, but I don't remember hardly anything, if I'm being honest.
First of all, how do you pronounce the name of the track?
Autódromo Hermanos Rodríguez.
Hermanos Rodríguez. Talk about the layout of the track.
Yeah, the track is really interesting. I feel like it's kind of a mix of like Indianapolis road course and Circuit of the Americas. Kind of like a hybrid, I feel like, of those two racetracks.
What are your expectations for the weekend?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the expectation should be it's going to be a really neat weekend. First off, just going and racing, you know, for the first time in NASCAR history, I think in the modern era for a points race. So that's going to be cool going down there, you know, being in a new part of the world that I've never seen. So I'm excited from that standpoint, but also I think the racetrack is kind of raced really well for our style of cars. There's a lot of passing opportunities. So yeah, I'm just excited to go down there and see what it's all about. And, you know, obviously it's going to be a great opportunity for us to hopefully try to win a race.
How many laps in the sim would you say you've done?
As far as laps go, I've definitely, I would say, turned over 100 laps pretty easily by now. Probably done 3 or 4 different days at this point. Today will be my final day I actually run sims. I don't know how many miles that equates to, but it's been a lot.
Best passing zones, what corners, what areas?
I feel like the best passing zones on a road course are typically always your heaviest braking corners. You know, that's where you kind of see guys outbrake each other. So, you know, the front straightaway into turn 1 is definitely going to be a great opportunity. It's going to be wild. The front straightaway, I think, is over 3/4 of a mile long. It's by far the longest straightaway I've ever seen in my life. So we'll be drafting, doing all kinds of stuff down that straightaway. So, you know, we're gonna go from probably 200 miles an hour, 190 for sure, all the way down to about 30 miles an hour into turn 1. So it's gonna be easy passing zone, I feel like, there, just because guys are gonna be braking at different spots.
Is that the biggest chance for disaster as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we see it time and time again, you know, when we go racing, you know, the restarts are always chaos, especially at road courses. It seems like we all always just start piling in and hitting each other. And now you give us 3/4 of a mile straightaway to all be drafting off of. It's going to be really intense. Like if you're even on the front row, I think it might be a disadvantage just because of the draft that the guys behind you are going to have. So yeah, I don't think we all really understand how wild the restarts are going to be just with that long of a straightaway. We've never had a straightaway that long before for a restart. So it's going to be really, really intense and really interesting for sure.
Then talk us through like turn 1.
Yeah, so obviously in a turn 1, there's a ton of different ways I feel like you can run this kind of section of the racetrack. It really goes from turn 1 all the way to turn 4. You can kind of give up some time, I feel like, into 1 and try to make up for it out of turn 3 just by how you set yourself up into turn 2. If you give up too much time, there's so much time to be gained getting into turn 1 that I feel like my approach is going to be try to just carry as much speed into 1 as possible. Turn 4 is kind of like, to me, a backwards Martinsville corner. Feels just like Martinsville. It's just the opposite direction. You're turning right instead of left. Then you go through turn 5, 6, 7, even 8, 9. It's kind of like Coda, these winding S's, but the entries of them look really wide and then they really tighten up. Out of turn 7, I think it's going to be really, really important to try to set yourself up for 8, because once you come out of 8, it should be wide open all the way to the stadium section. So that's going to be a really long straightaway where you're really going to want to maximize your time. But this is like a short track of road course. It's kind of like the stadium section at Coda where it's just really, really tight corners, but it's going to be super, super critical to get off of turn 14 because that leads on to that 3/4 of a mile long straightaways. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Preparation, high altitude, what have you been doing to prepare for those sort of conditions?
Yeah, everybody keeps talking about the altitude. I have no idea if it's going to be one of those things when we get there, it's like, man, I wish I was doing more. You're going to get there and be like, man, I guess it was a little overkill what I was doing. But yeah, it's been a lot, you know, over the course of the last 2 or 3 months. Toyota drivers, for the most part, all of us have been, you know, working out, doing stuff in either hyperbaric chambers where we're working out in high altitude or working out in these like a heat room, essentially trying to build tolerance for that kind of stuff. But then also at home, we've been sleeping in like these hyperbaric tents, so I can set this tent to whatever, you know, elevation I want. So I've been sleeping at, you know, 7,500, 8,500 feet above sea level for the last 2 or 3 months now. It's going to be a lot on the car, obviously. Just from a motor standpoint, it sounds like we're going to lose over 100 horsepower just because the thing won't be able to breathe. But certainly inside the race car too, it's going to be the same for us. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of how it all plays out.
By sleeping in the tent, has it gotten you onto diaper duty?
Yeah, I feel really bad for my wife. So the tent is in like our extra like bedroom. So I've been sleeping in there. So I honestly get fairly good sleep because, you know, I'm not the one getting up with the babies or, you know, going and getting them a bottle or whatever. I feel really bad that I've been like in this tent sleeping for the last 2 or 3 months while my wife's been obviously up with the twins and doing all this stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of sad that Mexico's coming, honestly, because I'm going to have to go back to being up a lot in the middle of the night. But yeah, it's been very interesting getting ready for this race.